Conservation Commission meeting November 20th. Present are
Patty Gale, staff.
Jean Walker,
Chuck Freiberger.
David Neiman.
Susan Tucker. Karen McCraig.
Okay. First on our agenda is ZBA requesting an input for the application of Catherine McDonald, applicant owner who is seeking variance to rebuild a previously existing collapsed porch in the same location as it existed previously. The variances are needed as the porch will be constructed 16 feet from the front property line, whereas a 25-foot setback is required per section 4.1 of the Goffstown zoning ordinance. A variance is also required as the porch encroaches 10 feet into the inner 50 feet of the required 100-foot wetland surface water conservation district buffer per section 13.3.3.4 and 13.3.5.2 of the Goffstown zoning ordinance. The property is located on 218 Elm Street, map 36, lot 14, in the residential 1 zone. Do we have anyone here to speak? Come forward, state your name, please.
Catherine McDonald. So you really just said it all. My porch. Well, do you want me to explain what happened?
Yeah.
Is it?
Go ahead.
Well, it's an enclosed porch, and the roof collapsed. So we were just going to repair the roof, but when we got the roof down, there was so much water damage on the wall structure that there was no way that it could withstand the new roof. And then when we took the walls down, the floor caved in. So now my porch is gone, and it's not funny.
No.
But anyway, so that's it.
And you're just asking to have a variance to
To
replace
put,
what
to
you
just
already...
put it back up.
I think
In kind, identical.
I think we're quite familiar with the location.
Yeah.
I know I am. I know Susan went by. So
Yeah, a real pretty site right now.
Do we have any questions or comments? Susan?
I move that we allow,
How do we say that, Patty?
To recommend.
To recommend. Recommend.
we only,
Oh, I know what else I wanted to let you know, because I did contact Jen. So my shoreline notification has been submitted to her. I don't know if it's actually hit Concord yet, but she said, yeah, put in for it. So I've sent that up with all of what she needs. So
Because she bought Flood Lake, she used to check.
yeah,
Sure.
Yeah. So.
So she's doing that right now.
yeah, just want to
I think
do
we've
it
all
right.
been
Do it
there.
right.
Anytime you do anything with an older
Oh,
structure,
yes.
that surprises.
Yes.
That's all it's filmed now.
Yeah, because if the house came down, I would have moved away.
So, Susan, would you want to continue with your motion?
I move that we recommend that Catherine McDonald be allowed to replace her porch on the existing foundation.
Yep, in kind. Yep.
Right? Mhm.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, everyone. Am I done?
You are done.
Thank you, Patty, for all your help.
And you'll get, you know, for ZBA.
Do you need
Thank
these
you.
for anything else?
No.
No, she doesn't.
No, because I sent up, because you said send up pretty much same stuff up to Jen, so she's got that, and hopefully I don't need it for anyone else.
You give back to me and I can mail it to ZBA with no letters.
Okay, so...
Okay, thank you, Patty.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, seriously.
Okay,
That
next we have a public hearing in accordance with the RSA's 36-4:5. Goffstown Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing to present public comment pertaining to existing conservation funds to cover the legal and administrative costs associated with the conveyance of conservation easement deed on a 37-acre parcel located on the southerly side of Snook Road, past lot 790-1 to the status quo land conservancy. We have people to speak on that? David?
Yep. Make a presentation. Also, we have out in the audience one of the family members doing the easement, George Fullerton. And from the PLC, the hardworking individual that's been doing all this work for us, Allison Gillen, the land protection specialist. So. Yeah, and I think everybody's already gotten a copy of the invoices except maybe Evelyn. Pass you around. So we're here to talk about paying for the expenses of a conservation easement that's being donated by the Fullerton family, which is Krista and George Fullerton, and the Mahoney families, which is Jim and Marilyn Mahoney. It's map 7, lot 90-1, approximately 38 acres, depending on which survey you happen to be most recent with, or GIS, or whatever you're looking at. But approximately 38 acres. It's a very beautiful piece of land. It's south of Snook Road. It's in a large area of our town that is still unfragmented, and it's part of the region of our town that is the drumlin and wetland complex, which is such a rich area, rich in wildlife and habitats, because you have these beautiful wetlands which are often bordered by glacial drumlins that rise up from the slopes of very rich soils. There tends to be a rich mosaic of forest and habitat types. Pretty much any wildlife you might expect to see in New Hampshire, other than boreal species from the White Mountains, you will find in this area, including occasional sightings of black bear, moose, fishers, bobcats, coyotes. And I won't even start on the birds. We'd be here all night. The area, the whole overall area, does drain down to our aquifer recharge area down along the river. This particular parcel has several wetlands associated with it. It's on either end of the parcel. If you look at your map image, we have a prime wetlands, two of our town's prime wetlands, and there's also a large, beautiful wetland in the center. Let me pass these two folders around. There's some photos in here, just 4 of them that you can look at. And you'll see there's a photo of one of the prime wetlands on the eastern end. There's also a photo from the beaver pond in the center. We could have filled this thing up with photos, but it would cost way too much for my inkjet printer. So. And then there's also a couple of pictures in there of structures that are mentioned in the easement, of an existing bridge and existing culvert that will be maintained.
The existing bridge, what's it made of? Just curious. What kind of bridge?
It's a wooden bridge. It's really an outstanding. It's a beautiful area. I've pretty much covered what all the great features of it are. So in this case, the easement is being donated to the PLC, the Scatterquag Land Conservancy. The easement in turn grants an executory interest to the town of Goffstown. To put that into the plainest and simplest terms, it simply means that should the land trust for any reason not be able to fulfill its duties in the future, the town would be able to step in and assume the responsibilities of administering the conservation easement. But that's not going to happen. The PLC has been around for a long time. It's going to be around for a long time to come. And basically, the PLC every year will monitor the site, and as going into the future, as owners change, and they'll be doing this in perpetuity. So, to do a conservation easement generates certain expenses that have to be paid, and that's really, even though the easement's being donated, the expenses are still there. So we're using the money from our conservation trust fund to pay for the expenses associated with doing the easement. So you have before you a list with all the invoices for all the expenses that have been incurred. And a cover sheet on the top that explains, what the various charges are, to whom they were incurred. First on the list from the PLC There's a project management fee, which just is basically paying for staff time, all the work that they've been putting into it. The stewardship contribution of $10,000, that goes into a fund that the land trust maintains that helps pay for the inspection to stewardship in perpetuity. So $10,000 for forever protection is quite a bargain. A baseline documentation report of $500 that land trust needs to document what are the conditions on the site at the time the easement was entered into, so that in the future, they can come out and say, well, that gravel strip mine didn't used to exist. Then the title search, just like with any land property, you have to do a title search to make sure that all is okay there. Environmental assessment, making sure there's no hazardous waste dumps or anything from the past. The only thing that we don't really have a receipt for is the recording fees, which obviously we can't have until everything is done and it's recorded. So those are estimated to be $200, which brings the total for the PLC's costs to $14,391. Then there were also two bills, which were submitted directly to the families. One is for the survey work that needs to be done on the property. That's $3,500. And then at the end, and this is a quote because the appraisal isn't actually done yet, but there is a written quote that's been made for the appraisal of $2,900, bringing a total of $6,400 to the two families. I believe the way we want to do this is when we pass a vote to pay for these expenditures, we want to have one check that will go to the PLC to cover what they've been billed directly. And then to the two families, we have a family member here in case this isn't right, but my understanding is we would just have a check sent to each family member, $3,200 to each family. Unless they,
that makes sense. Yeah, it's jointly owned 50-50 between my family and Mahoney's.
So that brings the total cost of the project to $20,791.
Is that, there are no more expenses hanging out? You used a term, I don't remember what it was, but it indicated there could be others, but I take it that's not the case.
No, the only thing that's on here that's really an estimate is the recording fees, and that's a pretty good estimate.
Right.
We basically know. You don't know until you get there.
I understand that.
Nothing major.
No, none that I know of, so we would have incorporated them.
David, now when if this were to go through, does the PLC then go through, do they have those little discs that they put up on the trees marking the areas? Is that something that this is marked or that this is PLC land?
There's that it's being protected by PLC.
Right, that's what I mean.
It's usually put at like strategic corners or points around the borders of the property. And yes, they will be doing that. In fact, they write that into the easement language itself, so that's actually listed in the written easement.
Okay. Are
It's
there
a
any other
very,
questions?
it's a very exciting piece
It
of
is
property.
exciting.
Yeah, I know that area.
It's been a while. We've talked about this piece of property for quite a while.
Yeah.
But
Just, I'd reiterate the variety of habitat there. It goes all the way from actually coming a little bit into a huge heron pond, which goes for like a mile and a half or so
Yeah.
in length, and there's a heronry at one end, so it goes right up to the border of that, then goes to a set of two beaver ponds down, and then there's a meadow wetland down at the other end, which is mostly included in this property too. And, so that's essentially it. It's a nice property to walk around, and we encourage people to walk around it.
Oh, and let me ask you then, there was in the map here, it looks like you have already cut a trail. It looks like a pretty nice, you have that.
Yeah, we maintained a
bridge.
walking trail back there that was at one point before we owned it was a logging trail, and we've kept it open
Okay.
for people to walk through. I occasionally run into people back there.
And then
Yeah.
the bridge, is that something, that looks like you've repaired it, or it's been?
Well, there used to be an old stone culvert at that location, and That's merely mostly for Jim Mahoney for his cutting of firewood. It's not a commercial grade.
No. No, but if it were a big wet area to get over there nicely, just walking.
Right.
It's lovely.
Any other?
Well, another thing too is that even this property has a lot going for it. Even the soils are fairly highly ranked soils. One of the
Because
images
that's
in the
very unusual
handout.
here in New Hampshire, so that was nice to hear.
Yeah, the best soils in the state fall into three categories. They're called prime farmland, soils of statewide importance, and soils of regional importance. And most of the area of this parcel falls into the statewide and local importance categories. So if we were, for example, if it was a working farmland and open fields, it would qualify for FRPP, but unfortunately they don't qualify fallow land anymore.
Good. We need to take a vote on this, just spend the money, right?
Yes.
Yes, so somebody needs to make a motion.
Anybody wants to make a motion? I've already written it out to make life easy.
Pass that down, or shall I read it?
Yeah, read it.
Oh, Susan?
She's got it, he's got it, he just handed it to her. Go ahead,
Okay.
Susan.
I'll go forward. I'll make a motion motion to release the funds for the Fullerton Mahoney easement in accordance with RSA 36-A, semicolon 4, and RSA 36-A 5. I move that we vote to approve the release of an amount not to exceed $20,791 from the Goffstown Land Use Change Tax Conservation Fund for the purpose of paying the expenses to secure a conservation easement on 38 acres identified as Tax Map 7, Lot 90-1. The easement is held by the Piscataqua Land Conservancy and grants an executory interest
Executory.
to the town of Goffstown. The released funds are to be paid for the parties that directly incurred the expenses to secure the easement and are to be dispersed as follows. $3,200 to Marilyn and Jim Mahoney of 143 Snook Road, Goffstown, New Hampshire, 03045. $3,200 to Christy and George Fullerton of 131 Snook Road, Goffstown, New Hampshire, 03045. $14,391 to the Piscataqua Land Conservancy of 5A Mill Street, New Boston, New Hampshire, 03070.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Okay. That's it.
If I have the written motion.
Stand here. I printed a copy.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much.
This is very exciting, thank you. And I will go for a walk over there, for sure. Because I know the rookery area, so that'll be real fun.
Yeah, you can get to the rookery by going back through.
Oh, super. All right, the question.
Especially, well, you can't see any herons there, but
I-
in winter, that if you get lucky, that entire pond is skatable.
Oh, really?
But most winters, it's not smooth enough to
No, the other thing is the rookery, and there is a period that they really discourage people going over there
when they're just setting up nesting.
right, and that is May, or when is that?
I don't know, but I don't get close to it. You can get a very distant view where there's not a chance of disturbing them.
Oh, okay.
From
Taking binoculars, that would be just.
Right.
Oh, good, okay. Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. Finances. Karen, finance?
Oh, yes. Did everybody read their email? We are now back on track.
Okay. Do you want to say anything? No. You're finished. Okay.
Where were we off track? I didn't know what was not done.
All the funds.
There's going to be a new accounting system, handling system, computer software and all of that for the town. And one of the arguments was to make one big, a single account at the bank in order to save money. The first group of funds that was assimilated into this, when I use the word Jayujic account, were Conservation Commission funds. And I said that was wrong because our funds are set up by statute and this cannot happen. So with discussion with the finance director, the reversal has been made and Conservation Commission funds are fenced off.
He did send his apology to all of us that this was done
Yes,
without
you can-
telling us ahead of, without
Right.
telling
Well-
us or asking us ahead of time, just not realizing, I guess.
Somehow, though, this happened a number of years ago. We had 85,000 there at the time, and we went through a whole big process again about we lost it. They came up with we lost your money. We have no idea where it went, which it actually just got absorbed in the general. And so we had to go. Is there any way that we can?
Well, I think Karen
Well,
has
that's why I'm-
Karen took care of it.
This time, but is there some way that, I don't know why, do you have to keep doing,
Well, the difference is, I think in the past, we didn't have a treasurer who was watching it, and we didn't have a monthly report.
Right.
So that's,
Okay.
at least our policies now can catch it if it starts to happen.
Okay.
And I guess all the funds from everything has been put into this one fund. And
Actually, it's all the revenues in town
In
are
town.
going into
Oh.
this,
fund.
not fund,
It's not
one
a
bank
fund,
account.
but account, right.
And it could be called the general fund. But where we have specific funds that were set up by town warrant, and then I think the recreation department should be very careful of their scholarship fund and other things like that, because it's different. It's not operating budget.
It's not part of the general fund.
It's right. That's right.
Okay, we thank you, Karen, for looking into that, and we do thank Dawn
Yes, thank you,
for
Karen.
straightening it out afterwards. I don't.
Yes.
I think it was something that was done, not realizing
Right.
the consequences
He
that
did send
he
an
did.
email.
He did
and-
send an yes.
Yes.
The minutes, I only found two things. One was David's name and one was Susan's name. Anybody, I don't know if there's anything else.
If you want to motion to correct,
Yeah.
then I can,
So someone want to just make a motion to correct those two?
the spellings of the name of David Neiman and Susan Tucker.
Unless it's easier for me to change my name, in which case.
To Tucker? That would be-
You're Tucker.
You're Tucker.
Susan Pollack.
You're Susan Pollack.
It
Yeah.
is pretty easy, actually.
So someone just needs to make a motion to change
And
those.
we'll get them changed.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and now on the minutes, any,
On the non-public.
yes, on the non-public minutes, any,
Looks good to me. I make a motion to accept the corrected, accept the
the correct, yeah, okay.
non-public.
Second on that?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay, now, we have,
It's really
Susan, should be having anybody to talk. New Hampshire DES letter stating that 19 Blue Jay Lane was regard to a seasonal dock has been corrected, and a timber cut permit for map 2, lot 9, Finney on Chopper Hill Road. And that's it.
And then talk about lean. And I also went to Milfoil. They've been getting the bids submitted to Amy, so they are proceeding. Have you seen
They're
any?
being wonderful.
Yeah.
They
It's going
really
well.
are. I think they're just
And Amy Smagula is wonderful. She's
Oh, I know.
really helping us.
She's the runner talker with
Yeah,
them,
yeah, she's definitely an asset for the state.
Well, yeah, and I think she's great, and she's the only one doing it, but she's been unbelievably helpful in support and in counseling.
Oh, yeah.
She's terrific. And actually, I have heard from other towns saying the same thing. I mean, she's consistently been wonderful in this town,
Okay.
for the state.
So, do we have any other business?
The meeting in
Meeting for
December.
December.
Because it falls on, I think, Christmas Eve?
Christmas.
Yeah, it would fall on Christmas Day.
Oh, that would be
Oh.
We know we don't want to meet then. So we could either try scheduling before if you want it, or you want to cancel it.
Can we see if we have a lot and then cancel it if
Sure.
there's nothing?
Yep.
And otherwise do it the week before, if we have something.
If we have something, we do it the week before.
On the 18th.
Then the
Okay.
18th, yeah.
Okay.
And otherwise, we could just, if there's nothing, and like this meeting, there wasn't much. Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Do we have to go into public sector?
No, we just,
We're all set.
we're all set.
I
Okay,
just gotta let them know. Okay.
second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Oh, so this is.